I gave y'all 30 years of my career.
Robert.
30 years of my career.
Robert Kelly, better known as R. Kelly, is a singer, songwriter, producer, and most recently a convicted criminal. Once regarded as the king of R&B with hits we all know like Ignition and I Believe I Can Fly, is now finally facing the consequences for his years of vile actions towards women. Today we are talking about R. Kelly, tomorrow you decide. Give this video a like and let us know in the comments who you want to see next time on Where Are They Now? R. Kelly was born on January 8th, 1967 in Chicago. He grew up in the Hyde Park neighborhood on the south side of the city. Kelly had a pretty rough upbringing and went through things no person, let alone a child, should go through. Though there is a lot that happened to R. Kelly, it's no excuse for what he's done to all of these women as an adult. Kelly wrote about his childhood in his 2012 autobiography Solar Coaster that as a child he felt too ashamed and scared to reveal to anyone what was happening to him at the time. Kelly was described as a shy child who was known to spend his time playing music and singing. In September of 1980, he began attending Kenwood Academy. There he met his music teacher, Lena McLin. McLin has taught many celebs in her day, including Mandy Patinkin, Shaka Khan, and Jennifer Hudson, just to name a few. She was the person who encouraged Kelly to pursue music over basketball, and after attending Kenwood Academy for 1 year, he dropped out due to his dyslexia, making it difficult for him to read and write. After leaving school, he would often busk in the subway under the Chicago L tracks. His career didn't take off until the late 80s, early 90s when he was with the group MGM, or Musically Gifted Men, consisting of Robert Kelly, Mark McWilliams, Vincent Walker, and Sean Brooks. The group participated on the TV talent show Big Break, ended up winning the grand prize of $100,000. In 1990, the group recorded and released just one single, Why You Wanna Play Me, and then disbanded. Following year, in 1991, he signed with Jive Records and released his debut album, Born Into the 90s, which was released early 1992. The album was a collaboration with the R&B group Public Announcement, and later that year they went on the 60653 tour. Shortly after, in January of 1993, Kelly separated from the group. That same year, R. Kelly's first solo album, 12 Play, was released. He had his first #1 hit, Bump and Grind, which spent 12 weeks at #1 on the Billboard Hot R&B Singles chart. In 1994, 12 Play was certified gold by the RIAA, eventually going 6 times platinum. Robert was young and he was huge. Everyone knew R. Kelly. He had so much success, fame, and talent at this point, he seemed on top of the world. While the world was focusing on his successes, there were things happening behind the scenes that should have been getting the attention instead. R. Kelly was nicknamed the Pied Piper, an unfortunately very fitting nickname for the singer. In the German legend, essentially the Pied Piper ends up luring children away from the town with his magical flute. R. Kelly would hang around Kenwood Academy, his former high school, long after he had left, and pick up young girls. He told these young women that he would help them get into a singing career. Obviously, being naive young girls and being offered such an opportunity by rising star and apparently very charming R. Kelly, you're probably not gonna pass up the offer. R. Kelly was trusted by these young women and their families. He was a musician and producer helping young women's dreams come true. The most well-known example of this is Aaliyah. Kelly already had a group of girls that he had been working with at the studio prior to meeting Aaliyah, but there was something about her that he was drawn to. She was introduced to Kelly by her uncle when she was just 12 years old. The two became close fast. When Aaliyah's music began to take off, the two would do interviews together and she would refer to Kelly as her best friend. They were extremely close and something just seemed totally off. The two had a 12-year age gap, so at the time they met, Kelly was literally double her age. He wrote and produced her first album, Age Ain't Nothing But a Number, in 1994. The title song from the album was about a younger girl trying to pull an older man, talk about hiding in plain sight. In August of that year, Kelly illegally married Aaliyah in a secret ceremony in Cook County. At the time, Kelly was 27 and Aaliyah was just 15. And the reason Kelly wanted to get married so suddenly is because he feared she was pregnant. They obtained a fake ID for her in order to forge her age on the marriage certificate as 18 instead of 15. It came out later that he had begun engaging with Aaliyah when she was just 13 or 14. The two denied the marriage happened and any allegations of their relationship ever moving past friendship. He was said to be extremely controlling, deciding when the girls would eat, sleep, who they would talk to, what they would call him, etc. He had a group of women that he was controlling and brainwashing, and they were all so young. Some women even reported that he would lock them in rooms or cars for hours. In 1996, Tiffany Hawkins filed a civil suit against Robert with detailed allegations of what he did to her at just 15 years old. She also stated that Kelly would encourage her to recruit her friends. In 1998, Kelly settled the lawsuit with Hawkins for $250,000. Robert would also often go to the mall wherever he was, another way to find young women. On February 3, 2002, a video began circulating allegedly showing R. Kelly performing inappropriate acts to a girl who was known to be underage. The video included Kelly urinating on the young woman. The video was released by an unknown source and sent to the Chicago Sun-Times. The publisher broke the story on February 8, 2002, which was the same day Kelly performed at the opening ceremony of the 2002 Winter Olympics. Kelly claimed in interviews afterwards that that was not him in the video. In June of that year, Robert was indicted in Chicago on 21 counts of having inappropriate photos and videos of children and himself in his possession. Robert was indicted in Chicago on 21 counts of having inappropriate photos and videos of children and himself in his possession. That same month, Kelly was arrested by the Miami Police Department on a Chicago arrest warrant at his vacation home. He spent one night in jail before being released the next day after he posted bail of $750,000. The alleged victim refused to testify at the trial, and a Chicago jury found Kelly not guilty on all counts. While investigating these photos, the Polk County Sheriff's Office conducted a search of Kelly's residence in Florida. They recovered 12 images of an alleged underage girl on a digital camera. She was wrapped in a towel in a duffel bag. According to the Chicago Sun-Times, the young girl in the images also appeared in the video, which got him indicted in Chicago in the first place. Kelly was arrested in January 2003 for 12 counts of possession of inappropriate images involving a child. He only stayed for 3 hours in Miami-Dade County Jail and was released after posting bail of a $12,000 bond. In March of the following year, the charges were dropped due to lack of probable cause for the search warrants. So Kelly kept getting caught and released. People knew what was going on at this point, but nothing was sticking. Over the years, he continued to be inappropriate and harmful to women. I won't get into every allegation because I think we've got the gist of things, but in 2017, BuzzFeed News reported that Kelly was accused by 3 sets of parents of holding their daughters in a cult. Unfortunately, Kelly and the victims all shut down the accusations. It wasn't until 2018 when Kelly finally, after decades of harming young women, he actually began to receive some of the backlash. In May 2018, the Women of Color branch of the Time's Up movement called for a boycott of Kelly's music and performances over the many allegations against him. The boycott was accompanied by a social media campaign called Mute R. Kelly. His response to this was, in my opinion, dumb, annoying, and not relevant. On May 10, 2018, streaming service Spotify announced that it was going to stop promoting and recommending R. Kelly's music. Days later, Apple Music and Pandora followed suit. January 2019 was the release of a 6-part Lifetime docuseries titled Surviving R. Kelly. The series featured some of his family, other celebs, journalists, producers, and of course victims of the singer himself. The series includes heavy topics and subject matter. The victims on the show share extremely vulnerable stories of themselves and other girls during their time with R. Kelly. He was dropped from RCA Records following the airing of the series, and a number of musicians who had previously collaborated with Kelly expressed their regret for doing so, including Celine Dion, Nick Cannon, Lady Gaga, Jennifer Hudson, and Chance the Rapper, some even having their own songs that featured him removed from streaming services. Within 2 weeks of the documentary's release, Kelly created a Facebook page where he tried to discredit the accusers in the series. Facebook removed this page shortly after for violating their guidelines. In January 2020, a second season of the docuseries was released titled Surviving R. Kelly Part 2: The Reckoning. Kelly has always denied allegations and tends to get quite heated when they are brought up in interviews. The series itself shows disclaimers on every episode stating his denial of all accusations. So where is he now? In 2021, the United States District Court for the Eastern District of New York were the first federal court to indict Robert Sylvester Kelly. It is the first and to date the only jurisdiction to take Kelly to trial for the charges filed in the wake of Surviving R. Kelly. With Judge Ann Donnelly presiding, the trial was held August 9, 2021. The same day, Kelly's lawyers filed a last-second motion to dismiss charges related to his transmission of an STI to several of his victims. Kelly knew of his infection, and non-disclosure to his sexual partners is a criminal act under the Public Health Law of New York and was presented as a predicated act for the charge of racketeering as well as the violations of the Mann Act. Judge Donnelly denied the motion, releasing a written decision after the trial. The federal jury trial itself began on August 18, 2021. The first witness was Jerronda Pace, one of the women of surviving R. Kelly. She was the first of any Kelly's accusers to have ever testified against him in court. Pace testified against Kelly, detailing the horrific things he did to her and put her through. In total, 11 witnesses at his trial accused him of either physical or sexual harm, and in some cases both. Along with these 11 witnesses, 8 of Kelly's staff testified, confirming details of how Kelly did things. There was more evidence that came through at the end of the trial in September, the details of which I will not be sharing on YouTube. After a 6-week trial, including 2 days of deliberations, on September 27, 2021, the jury came to a verdict of guilty on all 9 counts of the verdict sheet. District Judge Ann Donnelly ordered that Kelly be kept in custody to await sentencing. He was held at the Metropolitan Detention Center, Brooklyn. He faces a sentence ranging from 10 years to life in prison. Women's rights attorney Gloria Allred, who represented several victims, stated that Kelly was the worst she had pursued in her 47 career of practicing law. On June 8, 2022, prosecutors from the U.S. Attorney of the Eastern District of New York calculated the applicable prison sentence to be 25 years to life imprisonment. Prosecutors called attention to his decades of crime, disregard for his victims and the law, and lack of remorse. On June 13, 2022, Kelly's defense tried to argue he only deserves the minimum 10-year sentence, stating that a 25-year sentence at 55 is basically a life sentence in itself. Bogine argued further that the mitigation factors show Kelly should receive only the mandatory minimum of 10 years. The sentencing of R. Kelly began this morning, June 29, 2022 at 10:30 a.m. The final verdict is in. After hearing victim statements from 7 women, Judge Ann M. Donnelly has sentenced R. Kelly to 30 years in prison. She told Kelly that the public has to be protected from behavior like this. Prior to the sentencing, Kelly declined to make a statement due to pending litigation, according to his lawyer. When asked directly by the judge, he said, "Yes, Your Honor, that is my wish." So it's official. R. Kelly will be in prison for the next 30 years where he belongs. Should it have been a longer sentence, or do you agree with the judge's decision? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. I have been your host, Maddie. Make sure to give this video a like, subscribe, and let us know who you want to see next time on Where Are They Now?